All right, so we talked about what a Cournot duopoly looks like, what a Cournot equilibrium looks like. What I want to do next is to compare the properties of competitive, monopolistic, and oligopolistic markets, one against the other, just so we can understand what their relative welfare effects are. So, so what I want to do is to, there we go, is to compare the welfare effects of competition, monopoly, and Cournot duopoly. Okay. So let's do this. Let's suppose that we have a single market, and we're going to look at that market under these three different conditions. And so for the market, let's suppose the demand is A minus BQ. And to make our lives simple right now, we're going to set marginal cost equal to 0. Okay, so that's an extreme assumption that marginal cost is 0. And what you can do is to go back and change that assumption and rework through this example that I'm about to do with marginal cost equal to 10 or 50 or 3Q or whatever you'd like it to be. Okay. All right, so we have three different cases to think about. One is monopoly. And what I want to do here, I think, is I'm going to draw us a little picture here that we can refer back to as we work through this. And in this picture, I'm going to put the market demand. So it has an intercept of A and a slope of minus B. And that's the demand. All right. So if this were a monopoly, and the inverse demand is A minus BQ, we would find marginal revenue, which would be A minus 2BQ, and we would set that equal to marginal cost. Well, if we set A minus 2BQ equal to 0, what we've assumed our marginal cost to be, now we can solve for the quantity, and we get A equals 2BQ. Q then is equal to A over 2B, or 1/2 A over B. Okay. That's the quantity. What's the price? Well, the price is A minus B times A over 2B. Just substituting back in here. So the price turns out to be, well, let's see, the B's drop out, and we end up with A minus 1/2 A, so we get A over 2 is the price. Okay. So if this is A, then this would be A over 2, and this quantity, the corresponding quantity for the monopoly, is A over 2B. Okay, so that's the monopoly price and quantity for this market. Now suppose this market was perfectly competitive. Okay. Price is equal to A minus BQ. That's the market demand. And we know that in perfect competition, the price is equal to marginal cost. And so, well, price is going to be equal to marginal revenue, which is equal to marginal cost. So we can just set the price equal to marginal cost. So 0 equals A minus BQ. Solving for quantity, we get A over B. Okay. And the price then in monopoly would be, well, marginal cost, 0. And so this point is where the competitive equilibrium would be at a quantity A over B and a price of 0. So what we see is not surprising that in monopoly, the quantity produced is much smaller and the price is much higher. In this case, the competitive firm produces twice as much and at a much lower price, at a price equal to marginal cost. What about a Cournot duopoly? So price is equal to A minus B, Q1 plus Q2. Or for firm 1, for firm 1, price equals A minus B, Q2 minus B, Q1. For firm 1, we're simply going to set marginal revenue equal to marginal cost. So marginal revenue is going to be A minus B, Q2 minus 2B, Q1. And then we solve for Q1. Q1 is going to be equal to A minus BQ2 divided by 2B. It's a symmetric problem. Both firms have the same marginal cost. And so Q2 is going to come out in the same form. Again, work through it and convince yourself that what I'm saying is correct. For firm 2, the reaction function will be A minus BQ1 over 2B. In equilibrium, the reaction functions are set equal to each other. So Q1 is equal to Q2. Okay. So let's solve for Q1. Q1 now is going to be A minus B Q1 over 2B. So 2B Q1 equals A minus B Q1. 3B Q1 equals A, and that means Q1 is equal to A over 3B. Oops, 3B. So that's a third A over B. Q2 is going to be equal to A over 3B. And so together, the quantity produced in this duopoly, this Cournot duopoly, is going to be 2A over 3B. What will the price be? The price will be A minus B times 2A over 3B. So that's going to be A minus 2/3 of A. Price then is A over 3, 1/3 of A. So A over 3 is going to be about here as a price, and the quantity is 2/3 A over B. And so the Cournot duopoly ends up falling right between monopoly and competition, which is sort of what we would have expected. And so what we see from this is that in any market, the more competitive the market is, the larger will be the output and the lower will be the price. The highest price happens when the market is organized as a monopoly, and the Cournot duopoly is going to fall somewhere in between. And we would expect really any form of duopoly or oligopoly to fall in between the monopolistic and competitive equilibria.